Hello friends, thank you very much for joining in. I'm Ganesh Nayak and I'm a CFA and FRM trainer located in Bombay, and I also train candidates online. And apart from that, I'm also a career coach who's helping people in the finance domain to navigate to their career and become a better version of themselves. So today we're going to be talking about what exactly is this FRM exam. Okay, and the content that we are going to be focusing is why you should go for the FRM exam. Okay, how you can go for the FRM exam, what is the pathway that you should pick up, okay, what are the fees and the structure of the exam, and finally what is the exam pattern. Once we are done talking about the details about the exam, we'll move towards what is an average pass percentage for the FRM exam and how exactly the results are declared. Further, we're also going to be talking about the job opportunities which are available for people who have completed FRM, both FRM level 1 and FRM level 2, and a quick snapshot on how to prepare for the exam and a small detail related to the exam pattern. Okay, so this is the entire avenue for discussion of today, the scope of discussion today. Let us quickly start with this. Okay, now what exactly is an FRM? So FRM is a certification, financial risk management is a certification in the domain of risk management, which is given by GARP, which is Global Association of Risk Professionals. Now this body is located in USA. They also have offices in London, in India, in China and other locations, but they are primarily based out of USA. And what they are doing is they are conducting exam annually, okay, twice, that is primarily in May and November across the globe. They are conducting this exam, and students and candidates across the globe give this exam, and students who clear this exam get this certification called as FRM. Okay, that is financial risk management. So till now, more than 50,000 people who have successfully completed this FRM certification, and they are located, they are FRM charter holders. Why am I using word charter holder? I'll come to that point. But FRM charter holders are located across the globe now. Okay, and this certification has been treated as a base level now for your roles in finance and also in risk management. Okay, so FRM examination is primarily going to test you on the fundamentals of what exactly financial products banks or financial institution uses. Okay, what are the basics of statistics, that knowledge that you should have. Okay, what are the basics of risk management knowledge related to your credit risk, market risk, operation risk should be available to you, or you should be aware about before you enter into the bank's risk side. Okay, and this exam is conducted in two level, FRM level 1 and FRM level 2. Okay, so from that perspective, let us go to why you should become the FRM chartered holder and why you should go for this exam. The first and the foremost thing is that you should recognize that this is a global certification. That means whenever in future you planning to move abroad, okay, or move to a new country, over there your previous education might not be helpful, because that education might be related to your specific country. But this is, being a global certification, is going to help you to navigate through those jobs also in that new country, and will be recognized across the globe as a standard for risk management related jobs. Okay, and recently also what we have seen is that a lot of students are going for FRM or CFA or these kind of related global certification, because now the world is their playground and people want to move to different countries, and they do not want to start from scratch when they are moving to a new country. So that is why your global certification is a great value add. This certification is well recognized across the industry, across the bank, okay, primarily, and financial institution, not only in India but also abroad. So in India, when you're looking out for a job, this certification will definitely add value to your CV. The second important point is basically it helps you to develop your expertise. Now I see a lot of students, a lot of candidates coming to me and asking for guidance with respect to movement from, say, operations role to a core role in finance, or a back office role to a core role in finance. So for that perspective, when you are creating your CV, okay, or when you want to move to those kind of core roles like treasury or risk, compliance, finance, now you need to have some kind of expertise. Now this certification will help you to understand the basics about financial products which a big international bank actually trades into. It also trains you about all the basics about risk management. So this will help you to make your case better. Okay, this will help you to tell the employer that great, I have already completed the certification, I have the basic knowledge, now give me an opportunity to sit for the interview. Okay, Then next important point is it stand outs you in front of the employers. Now how come that is possible? So if you are going to compare, so if for example if I have only a graduation degree or say MBA degree, okay, now when I'm going for an interview there might be so many other people who have already done the same thing. Now if you want to differentiate your CV, if you want people to identify your CV fast and call you for an interview, right? So generally in these big banks, FRM or CFA or risk management related certification is taken as a keyword when they search for CVs. Okay, so this is one big definition or one big advantage that you can get, that your CV will stand out as compared to the other candidates in the context that you know something extra apart from the basic thing which is known to all. Okay, so that is where your CV will stand out and that is where your opportunities will open up. Next is that you will be able to grow your network. You will be able to connect with people who have already completed FRM, people who are studying for FRM. This helps you to connect and grow your network in the risk domain or in those core roles in finance. Okay, so all in all, FRM certification is going to be the norm now in the future for students or candidates who wish to enter into risk or risk related roles. Okay, so what I would suggest you, this is what the certification is and you should go for the certification. Now let us go for the details related to FRM certification, how you can become an FRM. Now if you want to become an FRM, the first and the foremost thing that you are supposed to do is you're supposed to register with the GARP. Okay, you have to make the payment which is basically the registration fee, that is one time registration fee, and also the exam fee together to the institute, that is Global Association of Risk Professional, on their portal. Once you have registered with them, once you have decided which exam you are going, clear the FRM level 1 exam and then prepare for FRM level 2 exam and clear that too. Now over here I would like to put a point to your notice that whenever you have cleared your FRM level 1, whenever you have cleared your FRM level 1, you have 4 years time window to clear FRM level 2. If you have not been able to clear that FRM level 2 within that 4 years time window, then you will have to again reappear for FRM level 1. Okay, to make it very simple, the time you clear your FRM level 1, you have 8 attempts to complete your FRM level 2. Now once you have, assuming that you have cleared FRM level 2, you are supposed to demonstrate 2 years of experience related to risk. Okay, 2 years of experience related to risk, and that 2 years of experience you has to be submitted within the 4-year time frame the once you have completed FRM level 2. Okay, let me give you an example. Suppose it is 2020 and you have completed in November 2020 FRM level 2 exam. Then from November 2020 you have 4 years time window to submit your experience, okay, to the institute on their portal. Now what is this 2 years of experience? Now this 2 years of experience can be your previous experience also. That means the experience that you have before starting the FRM. It can be between your completion of FRM, between your FRM level 1, level 2, or after completion of FRM level 2, within that 4 years time window. If you have worked for 2 years, that also is acceptable. So in a nutshell, this 2 years of experience that we are looking at can be at the before you start the FRM, during the FRM, and also at the after you completed a FRM. So that is what it is. Now a lot of students have query with respect to does this requirement requires you to be working on a risk role or a hardcore risk role. Now let me clarify, the institute does not tell you, okay, that you have to be in a risk role. What you are supposed to tell them is that how exactly your current role was there and how it was what all risk related activities you were doing in that current role. Okay, so let me give you an example. Even though if you are doing sales for a bank, you are a relationship manager, but before doing sales, on an average, normally every salesperson or every relationship manager, what he does, he does check the profile of the customer. Okay, he does talk to the customer. So those are actually methods to identify what is the risk that a bank face before giving out loans or services to a particular customer. So you do a check, KYC, which is know your customer. So these things are again related to risk. Now only requirement is that you're supposed to highlight that within the 2 years time frame, that work experience time frame, what all risk related activities you have done. Okay, it can that activity or work, the work experience can be from the bank or can be from other financial institutions also, but it should be related to risk. That means you should be able to highlight that what all related to risk you have done. One more important point on the slide, that if you are going for the exam, you can give both FRM level 1 and FRM level 2 simultaneously. Okay, but simultaneously means if suppose you are going for May 2021 exam, you can give both FRM level 1 and level 2 simultaneously on the same date. Okay, but if you have not cleared FRM level 1 exam, your FRM level 2 paper will not be checked. Okay, so please keep that in mind. This is a very important information. Okay, going to the next part, which is a fee structure. Okay, now when we are referring about fee structure and the way you can register, okay, so the exam is primarily conducted on May and November, third Saturday, okay, every year. Okay, if you want to enroll for the course, there is a one-time registration fee of $400. Okay, there is one-time registration fee. You do not have to pay this fees again any time. It's one time. Okay, that is fixed. Apart from that, the exam sitting fee varies. It can be early, it can be standard, or it can be late. So we have given you dates for both May and November exams. Suppose you're going for the May exam and you wish to make the payment before 31st of January, then your total fees will be 400 plus 425, that is $825. That is basically you're going for an early bird fees registration. But if you're making your payment to the institute after 31st of January and before 28th of Feb, then you will be charged the standard fee for the exam. That means it is going to be 550 plus 400, 950. Okay, so I hope you guys are clear on this part, the exam fee. Okay, this is again in dollar terms. So for Indian students, if you go for FRM level 1 in the early bird registration, it should be around 55-60,000 rupees. Okay, what is the payment method that the institute accepts? The most and the favorable payment method that everybody ideally does is basically through credit card. Okay, only thing you have to make sure is that your credit card is having a limit available, and your credit card operator or the bank with whom you have the credit card will ideally make sure that whatever payment that you're doing or whatever card that you're swiping, the dollar amount will be paid to the institute. So you need not worry about the issue of dollar payment. Okay, I'm repeating again. So whatever bank with whom you have a credit card, ideally if you go on the website of the institute and swipe your card, then what is going to happen is the bank will pay to the institute in dollar amount, and you will have to pay in INR rupees to the bank. So you need not to worry how the payment in dollar is going to happen. Okay, second method is wire transfer, but this method will lead to an additional charge of $50. Now please be very careful with this method, because this method requires you to go to your bank, submit the amount. Suppose you're going to State Bank of India, you're submitting the amount. Now State Bank of India will make a payment to a US bank, and that US bank will make the payment to the institute. So it's going to take some time for this entire activity to happen, and that is why not many students actually go for this. Okay, now when we go to the next part, exam deferral policy. So institute does give you an option to defer your exam. Suppose you made the payment, you were planning to go for May 2021, okay, and you made an early bird payment, and now once you have made the payment, there might be so many situations that might impact your decision to give exam. So if, for example, you are traveling around the time of the exam, or there's some major event in the family, and hence you will not be able to go for the exam. So institute gives you an option to defer, okay, but you can defer only once. Suppose you deferred the May 2021 exam, then it will automatically be moved to November 2021. That is the next exam cycle, okay, and you will have to make a fee of $150 to defer the exam, $150 US to the institute to defer the exam. Okay, and please be very mindful, the exam deferral is only available till the last date of the registration. That means till the time the late registration date is available. So for the May exam, it is 15th of April. Till then you can make a deferral request, post which there is no option for you to defer. You will have to go for the exam. Okay, so this is a very important piece for a lot of people who are appearing for the exam. You have to be very clear how you can defer, what are the charges, and you can only defer once. Now if I take you towards the pattern of the exam, so FRM level 1, okay, it consists of 4 books. Okay, In the FRM level 1 exam, you will find 100 MCQ questions. There is no negative marking. I'm repeating, there is no negative marking in the exam. You just have to tick and come because it's an MCQ based exam. And further, you get 4 hours in the morning. It's a paper pencil exam. Okay, 4 hours in the morning from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, the exam is going to test you on 4 books. Okay, exam is going to test you on 4 books. The first book, okay, is primarily about financial foundation of risk management. Okay, and in that book, the weightage of that book is around 20%. This book is primarily about what all things, okay, or what all basics of risk management that you should know when you are entering into bank. Okay, what are the major failures that has happened in the bank in the past, and what all learnings we have learned from that mistake. Okay, that is your foundation of risk management. Second is quantitative analysis. This book is entirely about statistics. Okay, now when it comes statistics, a lot of students are afraid that we have not done mathematics, we have not done statistics, we might face problem in calculations. But let me tell you guys, this is the most easiest book, because the institute is going to check you not on your ability to solve fast, but it is going to check you on the ability to understand the question and know what are the numbers. Okay, your understanding related to statistics will be checked. Okay, if your fundamentals are clear, this book is very, very simple. Next is basically your financial markets and products. This is book 3, and what happens in book 3 is you have to be very careful that this book is more about financial products. That means it includes futures, it includes options, it includes foreign exchange, it includes swap. So all those products basic knowledge has to be there, okay, for the exam. Next book, which is your book 4, is basically your valuation and risk model. This book includes, okay, your VAR method, which is basically a method used by the bank to understand what is the risk that is available. Then next book, okay, is next part within this book is basically about bond valuation. Then this book also talks about option pricing, okay, using Black-Scholes model and all. Okay, so again, this book is bit heavy in quantitative. You have 30% weightage from the book that is coming. Next, the weightages for the books are book 3, book 4, okay, 30%, and book 2, book 1, 20%. This comprises of your 100 questions. Now I'm taking you towards the second level of the exam, which is FRM part 2 exam. Now this exam is again having a similar pattern to FRM level 1. It's a 4-hour exam. The exam happens in the afternoon, that means from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's a MCQ based exam. You just have to tick and come. There is no negative marking, but the questions are 80. Okay, so they've reduced the question. It's 80 questions, and the book are now 6 books instead of 4 books. Now there are 6 books. Okay, so market risk. So what they've done is whatever basic knowledge that you have gained in level 1, in level 2 they have bifurcated books as per risk. So credit risk, market risk, liquidity risk, operation risk, investment management risk, all of them. You can find the weightages over here. 15, 20, 20, 15, 15 and 10%. Okay, now this book level 2 is more about concept. It is more theory, more about your understanding. In level 2 they will not check your ability to calculate heavily, okay, which they are primarily checking in level 1 in book 3 and book 4. But over here the focus is more about how well you understand the risk that a bank face. Okay, and hence they have given you a separate book for each risk. Okay, next part is how the results are declared. Okay, now let me be this slide is very, very important for you guys, because this slide highlights that the exam is on the percentile basis. The exam is on the percentile basis. It is not percentage, it is percentile basis. Now what does that mean? So out of the total 100 percentage or 100 percentile, what we have done is we have created quartiles. What is quartile? 25% bucket. So the first 25%, that is from 100% to 75%, is treated as first quartile. Okay, now from 75% to 50%, it is treated as second quartile, and similarly you have third and fourth quartile. Okay, now if I tell you the results are coming for each book, so if I talk about level 1, you have 4 books, so you will get quartiles for each book. Okay, now so for example, okay, in the first book, which was foundation of risk management, so weightage is 20%. Out of 120 questions are coming. Now out of that 20 question, Okay, suppose you were able to answer only 15 questions right. Okay, but all the other people who were sitting for the exam, they were able to solve much better than you, say 16, 17, 18 question right. Now you automatically come behind them, okay, because you are not able to solve high questions. Now because of this, your percentile will go down, so you will come in the last quartile. That means 0 to 25%. In a simple language, when I'm saying you are in the first quartile, 100 to 75, that means you're better than the 75% students who gave the exam in that book. Okay, if you're at 90 percentile, it essentially means you're better than the 90% students who gave the exam for that book. Okay, so if you are in the first quartile or the second quartile, then there is no problem. Okay, because what is generally going to happen is that essentially means you are doing a very, very good job. You are better than the 50% of the candidates. Okay, now for the exam perspective, if suppose, okay, you get quartiles in such a way, suppose if this is book 1, this is book 2, this is book 3, and this is book 4. Okay, now suppose you get quartiles for the first book, suppose, and please remember these book 3 and book 4 is heavy weightage, 30%, right? So ideally what you should do is you should get quartiles 1, 1 and 1, then you are pass. Even if you have 2, 2, 2, 2, you are pass. So these things are not a problem. But suppose, from my experience, what I am telling you is that if suppose you get something like this, then also you are pass. Okay, suppose you get this, then also you are pass. That means you are very good in the two books, which is book 3 and book 4, which was heavy weightage, but not so good in other two books. But because you were good in the other two books, it is going to cover you. Okay, so ideally for the exam, your focus should be on book 3 and book 4 because it has more weightage. Okay, and on an average, you should be able to make sure that you are getting at least second quartile. That means you are between 50 to 75% percentile in the entire books. If that is there, then you are pass. Okay. So one of the sample result that we can see for level 2, the result is available. Say they have given you the first book, which is market risk book, and they have shown you the quartile. Now this guy has got first quartile in market risk. Okay, so to clear, you should ideally be getting second quartile in all the book at least. Okay, that means you should be better than 50 percentile student in all the books. Then you are ideally clear. In one of the books, if it is bad and you are able to cover it in book 3 and book 4, then that should not be a problem. You should still clear. Okay, what has been the pass percent historically? Historically for level 1, the pass percentage ranged between 40 to 50%. You can see that over here. And level 2, it has ranged from 50 to 60%. So from that perspective, this exam is good. Okay, a lot of people are able to clear the exam, and this pass percentage is the global pass percentage. This is not India's pass percentage. Please be mindful of that. Okay, now what are the job opportunities that you can look for? If you are an FRM certified professional, that means you've cleared both the levels, you have the charter holder, then primarily you should start your journey with between 8 to 12 lakhs depending upon your work experience. Okay, also if you are a US candidate, you should be between $60,000 to $100,000. Okay, and major recruiters for FRM across the globe in the finance sector, it is generally JP Morgan, Bank of America and HSBC. These three companies have been recruiting FRMs for a lot of roles. So there are job opportunities available not only in India but also outside. Okay, now when you look into career for FRM, which all roles you can go for? Okay, so first is definitely in a bank there is a market risk team, so you can become a part of that team, which will help to identify what is the risk that a bank face with respect to the portfolio of asset that they hold when the market price goes up and down, when the interest rate goes up and down, when the foreign exchange goes up and down. Okay, so that is the responsibility of the market risk team. So you can become a part of that team also if you have done FRM. Second is credit risk role. So whenever a bank is lending someone or giving money to someone or entering into a transaction with someone, they need to be aware about what is the credit risk that you get or what is the counterparty risk that you face. Okay, so they have a credit risk team separately to look after this. You can become part of that team once you're done with FRM. Okay, even if you are FRM level 1, then also you can get opportunity with these roles. Next is operation risk. That is primarily the risk that banks face when they are running an operation. Things can happen which will deviate the operation, or for example which will impact the operation. One of the example of that would be getting a flood which is impacting your ability to run the operation, fire in your premises, or earthquake, or internal fraud from your employees. So those things can have a huge impact on the way operation is being run. So you generally have, as a bank, a separate operation risk team. You can join that team after completing your FRM. Compliance is also a very important role. So a lot of these banks which are global in nature, who are operating in so many countries, have to face so many different regulations in so many different languages. Okay, so they need people who have a risk background from become a part of the compliance team, so they can become a compliance analyst or associate once they have completed FRM. Within bank, there is also a separate team which not many people know about, is stress testing. Okay, now, and this is generally part of the risk team. What happens is, this team is responsible for looking at the portfolio of asset which the bank holds, and they will do scenario analysis. They will do stress on the market variable. They will see if, for example, tomorrow Sensex falls by 500 points. If tomorrow S&P index falls by 100 points, then what is the impact that I face on my portfolio? Okay, if tomorrow there is a war declared on two countries, it will impact markets, and how does it impact going to impact my portfolio? So that is what stress testing team does. Okay, and these are technical roles, so definitely they need people who have a risk experience or risk understanding. Risk and control, so these teams are there to understand how the controls are placed within the organization. So if you are making payments, so a lot of these banks have a system control. So this team, which is risk and control team, is responsible, okay, for making sure that those controls are in place and the bank is not facing any other risk. So okay, risk methodology and model validation, these are quantitative teams. That means they have a lot of calculations, models doing to it. And what does this team do? So if you're a bank, you would be running a lot of models, not only for your risk but also for capital, for valuation. So risk methodology team is primarily responsible for creating those models, and model validation team, it's a separate team which is responsible to check those models on an annual basis. So if you are FRM, you become a good candidate for that role also. Okay, so this was a snapshot of roles that you can target once you're done with FRM. Now, how should you prepare for your level 1 exam? Okay, make sure that you give at least 200 to 250 hours for the exam. Okay, that means ideally 4 months at least. Okay, 4 months at least you should be giving for the exam. Okay, next is that you should be solving at least 2000 questions across the 4 books. Okay, which should be a combination of easy and difficult, and all those questions should be given with a time management in focus. That means whenever you're solving question, make sure that you give only 2 minutes for your solving of question. Okay, this will help you to prepare for the exam, because over there you are roughly 2 minutes for the exam to be given. Okay, GARP is primarily focuses on covering the entire syllabus. That means they should be able to, okay, ask you question from all the nook and corner of the curriculum. So be prepared, read everything. Okay, do not miss out on any topic for your preparation. Book 3 and book 4 should be your focus because it has highest weightage, 30%. That means 60% of your content for the exam is going to come from this book. So do not ignore these 2 books. Focus on the concept which were repeated in the previous exam. Okay, now through our knowledge, I generally able to share with my students that what all questions have came in the last exam or previous exam based on my discussion with my students, previously cleared students or previously exam given students. So you can go through those questions also. You should be focusing on those questions because generally the questions are repeated with a slight change. That every year GARP releases a sample paper, okay, for the exam. You should be solving that paper before you go for the exam. Make sure you get 2 weeks off before the exam, because when you are revising this entire 4 book, you need to be in a rhythm to completely go through that book before the revision. You need time for mock solving also. Okay, solve at least 4 mocks before the exam. Okay, and if possible try to complete 2 readings of the book before the 15th October. If you're going for the November exam, then October 15th is the date. If you're going for the May exam, April 15th is the date. Ideally, you should be able to complete 2 readings of the book, whichever book you're preferring. Okay, now there are other details with respect to the exam. A lot of students, they prefer Swagger material. There are other materials available like Wiley, Bionic Turtle, but Swagger is an easy, concise version of the book which you should be able to able to get easily, and you should be able to read the content easily. That should not be a problem. Okay, and majority of the students take this book as a stepping stone for their exam. Okay, next is the calculator. So the institute has recommended three, four different types of calculator. From that, what I would suggest you is that go for Texas Instrument BA2 Plus. BA2 Plus. Okay, this should cost you around 3,000 rupees in India. Okay, if you're planning to go for the exam, you should have at least one of them. That means either you should have a passport or a driving license, and both of them should be valid at the time of the exam. Okay, now what do we do? So we basically conduct live classroom sessions in Bombay at Fintelligence. Okay, we do conduct live online sessions. So we do run online sessions, online batches for FRM and CFA. Okay, in that we do provide recorded video lectures also as a part of the package for students who are coming for the classroom session, and also separately we do sell video lectures. We do provide them our own notes, okay, for the preparation, question notes, question banks for each chapter, each book is provided. We do provide them with test series and mock papers for their preparation. There is 24/7 doubt solving through our Telegram group. Okay, we do conduct few of the revision sessions to enhance the understanding of the topic, and also the placement assistance is provided. So we have tie-ups with a lot of job placement agencies, and what do they do is whenever they get a job opportunity, they pass on to us and we pass on to our students. We also have connects through our students in the industry, and we come to know which company is in a hiring spree, and we pass that information to our student. Okay, we do conduct skill enhancement workshops, okay, for students with respect to LinkedIn, with respect to CV. Okay, and we do conduct sessions with respect to product related information also to enhance our understanding of our students. Okay, so that is there. Then the packages that we offer. So we conduct live classroom sessions for CFA. We do conduct live classroom sessions for FRM. Okay, and for both FRM and CFA, there is online live classes available, and we do provide live recorded sessions. Okay, the normal session is recorded. That is also available for students to purchase if they do not wish to go for the live classroom or live online session. Okay, any questions right now? We would be eager to help you out and resolve your queries.